My piece that I'm going to read is basically about the first third of my memoir, and I'll speak to the end of it if I get through this. This is called Just Like That. Some memories are indelible. They fade a little at first, maybe even a lot, as the years pile up. Their ghosts remain, though, memory ghosts, staying just strong enough to ensure that some events are never totally behind us, surfacing when we least expect them. I was but 8 years old. Not gonna make it. On July the 23rd, 1954, when life gave me my first indelible memory and took away most of the memories that preceded it. I was happily twirling around on the piano stool in the parlor of my grandparents' Pontotoc home, plunking the piano keys as I sped by them on the stool. I was lost in a childish game of pretend. The parlor was very large, maybe 20 by 20, high ceilings, tall windows, and a collection of Duncan Fife's now iconic creations. The room was dominated by two pairs of double mahogany doors on adjoining walls. One pair, always open, formed the room's entryway from the central hall. The other pair, always closed, separated the parlor from a larger adjoining room. No longer used for dancing or frivolous entertainment, the larger room was now totally utilitarian. It contained two double beds placed foot to foot in front of wide floor-to-ceiling windows. The windows offered a view of the side porch that gave onto the stairway to the second-floor apartment, permanently rented. On the opposite side of the room was a single bed. An empire dresser, an armoire, and a couple of well-used chairs completed the look. In 1954, the room often slept 5 of the 9 boarders that the house could accommodate, a home away from home on Mondays through Thursdays. It was a well-known place to get a bath and a good night's sleep after long, hot, dirty days of road work. Granny had her regulars who stayed with her whenever they worked nearby, many of whom became like family. Regulars or not, all of the boarders appreciated her clean beds, her big bathtub, and ample meals. Beginning in 1946, before the coming of boarders, I'd lived in this house as an infant and a young child. I was part of a typical post-World War II family, separated because sometimes it was difficult to find both employment and affordable housing in the same city. Mom and I, and eventually my brother Phil, shared the house with my grandparents. Dad frequently joined us for weekends and then drove back to Memphis on Sunday night. There, he was a work week boarder and a searcher for family housing. I'd always loved my grandparents' large Southern Victorian house, though it was fairly plain as that style usually goes. It was 2 full stories with a deep curved porch, front and side, complete with a swing, glider, and rocking chairs. The grounds were dotted with pecan, walnut, peach, and pear trees. Also, there was a scrawny apple tree that seldom bore fruit, but was never given up on. Deep pink crepe myrtle, a grape arbor, and a large climbing yellow rose bush grew on or near the house's outer walls. The longest side of the house's property, a separate lot fenced from the house's main grounds, was entirely bordered by the railroad that began as the Ship Island and Ripley line founded by William Faulkner's great-grandfather and now part of the Tanglefoot Trail. Immediately behind the house was a large open front storage shed filled with unused tools, small machinery, and many decades' worth of accumulated junk. I never saw its attached smokehouse in use. A chicken house and a large garden area were fenced off behind the sheds. The glowing interior wood of the house made it seem a little dark, but it felt comfortable and inviting. Its nooks and crannies filled with trash and treasure begged to be explored. There was usually cooking underway in the kitchen, with Granny whistling while she worked. The delightful culinary fragrances mingled throughout the house with the smell of furniture oil and a hint of Flit insect spray. Old but comfortable furnishings filled the rooms and seldom changed. There were books in most rooms, but no formal bookcases. When not being read, a favorite novel, Light in August, lay on the entry hall table. Had Granny ever had the opportunity to visit the big old house I now live in, she could not have missed the similarities. Sadly, though, 8 years of welcome and comfort was about all this beloved house would be able to give me. It was destined to be forever tied to a great loss in my heart and mind. The slam of the entry hall screen door announced my younger brother Phil and snapped me out of my spinning reverie. Earlier, I'd seen him in the front yard swing that hung from a pecan tree branch. He'd been pumping the big old swing way too high and making it buck. This was a no-no, and he knew it. "I just threw up in the yard," he proudly called, "and I don't feel too good." "I guess not," I answered. "Did you break the tree limb? Good thing Papa didn't see you. You must have forgot about that strap hanging in the bathroom." Never mind the fact that I'd never actually seen the big leather strap off of its hook next to the sink. 6-year-old Phil was afraid of it. "I'm not in trouble," he retorted. "I told you I'm sick. Mom says I'm supposed to get on my bed 'cause I might even have a little fever." "Well, don't you be throwing up on my bed or you will have trouble." And just like that, I'd had my last conversation with my dearly loved brother and constant companion of 6 years. The next day, an obviously much sicker Phil was taken to a local doctor who said that he was very sick, maybe with encephalitis. Then, because polio was rampant at the time, he sought to soften the blow. "At least you can be thankful he definitely doesn't have polio," he said to my parents. On Sunday morning, the doctor came to the house and pronounced Phil able to make the trip to Memphis, where follow-up care had been arranged. Papa helped Dad pack the car. Granny packed sandwiches for us for the road. Then, with him standing tall and stiff and her unconsciously twisting her apron, they waved goodbye to us from the front porch steps. And just like that, Hewlett and Nettie Johnston had gotten the last glimpse of their beloved grandson, Phil. In Memphis, my 2-year-old sister and I were dropped off at the home of longtime friends, where we were ensconced in a small bedroom, away from their kids, quarantined as it were. Mom and Dad drove straight to the Gaston Isolation Hospital in downtown Memphis. That facility, demolished in 1990, was a long, low wooden building with a towering smokestack in the middle. Built in the 1930s to treat patients with communicable diseases. It looked like nothing so much as a nightmarish building from one of Hitler's extermination camps. The staff quickly whisked Phil into the back, told my parents they could not accompany him, and closed the door. They were stunned, they were bereft, and they spent the night near the door as possible. Throughout the night, they occasionally heard Phil crying out for his mother. Then, just like that, before sunrise Monday morning, Bob and Liz Lunan learned that bulbar polio, a somewhat rare form of the disease, had claimed their son's life in less than 4 days. The rest of the memoir is about the issues of dealing with Phil not being there in every way, and the way that it was eventually dealt with. And I will not go into any of that, except that I will tell you that the alternate title with this in my mind was Moving Phil, because we eventually moved him from Memphis, where he was buried, to the old cemetery in Pontotoc, where a lot of our relatives are buried, because my mother could not stand the thought of being separated from him forever. Thank you.